Greetings, everyone. I am glad to be here, and I am glad that you are here. Today's jank is actually in Brawl. That's right. We are doing Brawl Wednesdays again. Missed it, and just kind of a series of circumstances that kind of got me away from Brawl. And boy, I am just glad to be back. So today's jank is going to be with Kaza Royal Chaser. Many of you may or may not be familiar with this card because it hasn't seen a lot of standard play. But Kaza Royal Chaser says, for a blue and a red, you get a 1/2 legendary human wizard. Flying and haste, you may tap her. On the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn costs X colorless less to cast, where X is the number of wizards you control as this ability resolves. As you can see, we don't have a ton of wizards beyond her, so oftentimes she's only going to be reducing the cost by 1, but you do have to consider that each of these is a combo piece, so to speak, right? Normally, let's just say you're going to be building around, you know, Bonecrusher Giant, let's just say. In a normal 60-card deck, you will have 4 Bonecrusher Giants in your main, right? So it can be difficult to build around because sometimes you actually won't see Bonecrusher Giant throughout the whole game, right? There will be games where you just don't draw it. So if you're going to build around Bonecrusher Giant, you might have 4 Bonecrusher Giant, but you also might have some number of shocks. Maybe 4 shocks, but maybe as few as like 2 shocks, because, you know, you just want to see one of these every game, but you don't need to see more than one, let's say, right? So in that same way, we do have access to a total of 6 wizards. So that is almost as though we had 4 Bonecrusher Giant and 2 shock in a normal 60-card deck, right? That is one of these for every 10 cards in our library. Obviously, that does not include the fact that Kaza, being our Brawl commander, will be around because we may cast that out of our command zone, right? Okay, so beyond that, what are we trying to do? Well, we're trying to reduce the cost of instants and sorceries. So you will note the vast majority of our instants and sorceries cost for an extra colorless is the way you get them. So Scorching Dragonfire, Roil Eruption, the Jwari Disruption, Essence Scatter. Thassa's Intervention being X plus 1 is actually very, very relevant, but not strictly there. Let's see, where were we? Yeah, Neutralize, the Brazen Borrower, the Petty Theft side, right? Bonecrusher Giant, the Stomp side. Mystical Dispute actually is 2 colorless, but I think it's very, very strong in the Brawl meta or whatever, right? But then, as we advance up the curve beyond that, we have a number of other value engines. So there is Teferi, with Teferi's Ageless Insight, timeless combo, since they released, right? But there is also the Jace. And this Jace has a little bit of an interesting interaction with Teferi's Ageless Insight. Here, let me pull them out to the side so that you folks can see them. Teferi's Ageless Insight says, if you would draw a card, except for the first one you draw on each of your turns, draw 2 cards instead. So this is what they call a replacement effect. So if you're going to do this thing instead of what you were going to do, right? Well, that's an interesting interaction with Jace Mirror Mage. Jace Mirror Mage has a +1, Scry 2. Very strong. The 0 is also very strong, but comes with a rather significant downside. 0, draw a card, reveal it, remove a number of loyalty counters equal to that card's converted mana cost from Jace Mirror Mage. So, if it's a 3-drop, if we reveal, let's say, a Gadwick, that's a CMC of 3, we have to remove 3 loyalty counters from Jace Mirror Mage, so Jace would then go down to a 1, or whatever, right? But, remember what I was talking about? Replacement effects. If you would do the thing, do this thing instead. If you would draw a card, do 2 instead. So, this one wants you to draw a card, reveal it, remove things. Instead of doing that thing, do this thing instead. So instead of drawing a card, revealing it, doing all those things, we just 0, draw 2 cards. No revealing, no removing counters, all that stuff. Very, very strong interaction. Now, admittedly, they're just one-ups, right? So this isn't a central theme, but definitely a synergy that you should be aware of, at least for 60-card Magic, and a strong synergy in this particular deck as well. In that same way, Teferi's Ageless Insight here does also help us with our like Royal Scions and Valakut Awakenings. It helps us with our Gadwicks, and yeah, I mean, just a lot of random things in the deck. Relatively strong. It also turns on the advantage in our deck, right? Where we can go from doing very, very small things to doing very large things, and multiple of them, considering we have cost reduction effects in the deck, right? Another key synergy here is Double Vision. This is secretly the card I wanted to build around. Unfortunately, you can't make enchantments your commander. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell this turn, or each turn, copy that spell. You may choose new copies for the targets for the copy. The key word here is each turn, ladies and gentlemen. So it works on your turn. It also works on their turn. So if you look here, whoop, that's not gonna work. Oh boy, helps if you spell it right, folks. All right, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. All of these cards are instants. That is a lot of Magic cards. Now there are a number of these, like the Valakut Awakening and the Spikefield Hazard, that are lands. There are others of these that aren't actually instants. It just references instants. So Teferi Master of Time and Master of Winds. Neither of those are actually an instant, and nor is Magmatic Channeler. But this is, or I'm sorry, and nor is Umara Mystic. But these are a lot of things that either are instants and sorceries, or instants, or deal with instants, right? So that is the primary synergy here. We are doing a lot of spell-based synergies, and really looking forward to it. So, without further ado, I mean, there are just a million cards we could talk about each one of. But those are the primary synergies in the deck. So as it happens, we want to get some gameplay here. So let's do that thing, shall we? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are up against Greed. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hope we can defeat Greed, shall we? Fair enough. I think this hand looks good. Coincidentally, we only have just one instant or sorcery, and it also happens to be a creature. But I think the hand overall is quite strong, particularly in a format where we can expect... It is not unreasonable to expect our opponent to be moving at a little bit of a slower pace. 60 card, the decks are very, very finely tuned to get you dead as soon as possible, or prevent you from getting me dead, right? It's basically one or the other, normally. Brawl is a very different format, for those who aren't familiar with it. A little slower, but for those who are interested in the more casual formats, let me tell you, Brawl can be a real answer for that type of player. It can be a real respite from the generic difficulties of jank players in 60 card, right? Now, I do think it can be a little more difficult to actually have legitimate brews in Brawl sometimes, because there are so many different... Yeah, let's just get in. Fair enough. Because there are only so many different commanders, right? So that are in standard. Historic Brawl, I think, is just a brewer's paradise, honestly. But considering you are limited by that, it can be difficult sometimes. All right, opponent just... Yes. Really controlling our draw here, which is not a big deal as far as we're concerned. We're going to go ahead and, I guess, play a blue here. And all right, yeah, let's just take... Our opponent's given us a turn off. Let's just Teferi's Ageless Insight here. This is a great opportunity to get it down. If our opponent has a way of destroying the enchantment, we're pretty disappointed. But ways of destroying the enchantment are typically a lot fewer and farther between. And we also kind of want to be able to hold up Essence Scatter for during... for when they might be able to cast Phylath, you know? So, I think we're going to take our beats here. Not excited about it, but we get to leave up Thassa's Intervention or Essence Scatter. Alright, you may have that. Opponent going to get in for 4. Sure. Alright, and our turn. Alright, well, we're going to go ahead and shock the Lotus Cobra then. Yep. Fair enough. And Greed going to pass the turn to us. They are, in fact, going to do that thing. Alright. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, let's just go ahead, cast a Bonecrusher Giant, and hold off. Opponent likely going to scry with Omen of the Forge, and we're okay with that. We're assuming our opponent's going to try and cast Phylath as soon as possible, right? Oh boy, darn it. Yeah, I think we would actually rather save our Bonecrusher Giant than take an extra turn, believe it or not. Because this Bonecrusher Giant is going to cause us some number of problems, particularly for our Teferi Master of Time, when we finally do get to resolve it. So I think we've got to do that. It does leave us shields down. Okay, thank heavens. Our opponent not able to take advantage of the fact that we're shields down and cast their Phylath. Is this more removal? Our opponent has had a lot of interaction spells, folks, for being a Gruul deck. You don't normally see that as much. Hey, that's actually a good one. So let's... Teferi Master of Time. And we are just going to go ahead and tick up here. Alright. Then yeah, we can discard Evolving Wilds, I guess. Get a Scry on. It's a shock. Okay. Then yeah, this hopefully will be all right. We're gonna plan on hoping to be able to shock the Territorial Scythecat. Praying that our opponent doesn't keep a land on top. Since they only have one card in hand, it wouldn't be outside the realm of possibilities for our opponent to not feel like they even want a land. They're gonna cast Phylath this turn. They're gonna want action after that. So if that's the case, then fine. But we will not be able to we will not be able to shock the Territorial Scythecat if they do in fact have a land drop. All right. What am I doing? I think I may have just lost myself the game by not Essence Scattering. Oh boy, holy crud. That was the whole reason we were doing this, folks. All of it. Just all of this was motivated by that action. Alright. This is an improvement. It does appear as though we're going to lose our Teferi, which is not great. But we have already drawn a lot of cards with it. We do have the Fire Emancipation down now, which is definitely good. Man, oh man, not countering that. We would be in great shape if we had countered that Phylath there, but geez Louise, I just clicked right through it like a fool. Man. Oh boy, folks. That is disappointing and a half. Yeah, opponent gonna come in at Teferi. Okay. Sure. Not gonna lie, folks, that one's a little bit difficult to put behind me there. Jeez Louise. Let's see. This would be 7. Okay, I think this is fine. Oop. There we go. 8. All right. And, of course, we're going to do all the things. And return those 2 creatures. Target this player. We're then going to scry and draw as well. Opponent going to float a red. This is fine. We don't want the Fabled Passes. The Shark Typhoon, though, that is one of our better win conditions. That is definitely a card we are interested in here. Being able to cast that, hard cast that, is definitely very good. Keep in mind, we also have the Fire Emancipation. A lot of these effects, like, you'll be very familiar with Torbran, I'm sure. If you played any amount of Magic, you probably ran into mono red. If a source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals triple that much instead. So normally, a lot of the time these effects will say if a red source, or if an instant or sorcery or something, no, it doesn't care where the damage comes from. If a source would deal damage, triple it, right? So all of these little, even if we just create 1/1s or 2/2s or something, triple damage, folks, triple damage. That is a lot of beatdown. Also notable, Ironcrag Pyromancer. Triple damage. That's 9 damage, folks, for those of you keeping score. That's a lot of damage, as the folks online might say. Yeah, let's just hold on for another Essence Scatter here, I think. All right, red damage, or red mana. We're gonna go ahead and come in. Opponent gonna block with a 0/1. We don't have any trample. This is not unexpected. Admittedly, not great either, but we have to fight through it. All right. Opponent looking through our stuff. Exiles Teferi, Master of Time. They have drained themselves up to 30 and us down to 13. This stupid Klothys is really giving us a hard time. All right. This time, we are not going to click through it. Heavens knows. That would be abysmal. We'll see if our opponent's been paying attention here. If they've been paying attention, the Leyline Tyrant will not attack because we do triple damage. It would not be outside the realm of possibilities for our opponent to not be thinking about it and just attack because they have a 4/4 and we have a 2/2. Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. And Greed, despite our punt there of not countering the Phylath the first time, holy crud, that was brutal. Still able to get the win. Our opponent recognizing that we just have every value engine on Earth established. Next turn, I think the correct play would be 3 mana, cast Ironcrag Pyromancer, then X equals 2 the Gadwick, and just draw a couple of cards, deal 9 damage anywhere. In this case, to their face, and you know, refill our hand. I think our opponent would be in really difficult shape at that point. At the very least, folks, this Kaza now dealing triple damage, even as a 1/2. Pretty scary, pretty scary. So our opponent not going to be able to win and scoops them up. GG, opponent, GG. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are up against our good friend GG. Viable opponent, no question. And I think we've got to mulligan this. We don't have any red sources. I wish we could keep it because I think the hand is actually kind of good. For the format's being a little slower and everything, you know. Yeah, let's keep this. But not doing anything for that long, and also not having any red mana means that first hand just not likely to get there. I think this hand is much better. And by that, I mean, it's basically the same, only we have both colors of mana. So, better is definitely relative in this case. Yes, we will absolutely get a Sprite Dragon down. Get on in there with Dorat, the perfect pet. Our opponent playing a party deck over there with Tazri, Beacon of Unity. Started on tapped land and tapped land again. We don't currently have any means of controlling what they're about, which is kind of a bummer. Kind of a bummer indeed. Wow, okay. No, that's awesome. Holy crud, is that good. All right, so we need another blue source at some point here, but we're going to Kaza Royal Chaser. And Bonecrusher Giant, grow the Dorat, get in with Sprite Dragon, drop our opponent's life total down to 22. This line is a little risky because we need to be able to draw into another blue source. We have several double blue cards. Oh, thank heavens. Double blue cards here. So make no mistake, I was not super confident in this line of play. You know what? This is fine. I think we're just going to do this and beat down. I think this is okay. We very well may just cycle the Boon of the Wishgiver, actually. Well, no, because we're one land away, right? We only have just the one wizard, but this makes it one cheaper. If we draw another land, darn it, we can just cast this. And boy, oh boy, do we want to cast that, right? All right, this is fine. Oh, darn. All right. Combat. Hold back the Bonecrusher. You will note, ladies and gentlemen, this does say non-creature spell, right? It is not... This is basically prowess, but 1/1 counters. It is not whenever you cast an instant or sorcery. Journey to Oblivion. Oh, my word. Our opponent must be relatively aggressive here. That is not at all what I was expecting. Huh. Let's Teferi Master of Time. It grows the Sprite Dragon again. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I think we're gonna do that, believe it or not. We want to be able to hold up Mystical Dispute. Actually, it was wrong to swing in there, wasn't it? Yeah, I think that's a minor punt. I was thinking, okay, this puts them on a 2-turn clock after we hit them here, and that is true. But we're likely to grow our Sprite Dragon anyway, so that extra damage should not matter. And it probably would have been better to... Alright. be able to draw into something. Like that. Unfortunate, but okay. Not a big deal. Teferi going to take a couple of beats here. Not a big deal. Down to 1 loyalty. But Teferi is a big boy. And can handle that sort of thing. So we're just going to go ahead and Ironcrag Pyromancer. Discard an island, I guess. Gonna deal 3 damage to the Seafloor Stalker. Get down a... Yeah. Yeah, I think this is definitely where we want to be. I think, though, we are going to... Yeah. Let's just do this. We could have gotten another point of damage in. I guess I was thinking, let's just do this after they spent some mana, but a lot of party spells actually get cheaper the more mana you've spent, right? I mean, the more party members you have. So I think that waiting is actually wrong. So we were supposed to deal the extra damage there. We actually had lethal then. Yeah. Because we bounce pre-combat, it grows. They take an extra damage. Instead of killing the Seafloor Stalker, we put it on their face. Then we could put the next one on their face too. So yeah, I definitely missed lethal there. And that, I'm not excited about that. I do think our opponent is in not an actual unwinnable situation. I think they're, you know, it's just a very, very difficult to win situation, right? Tazri gonna come back. We could have set a stop there and killed the Nimble Trap Finder. I mean, yeah. But we actually were kind of hoping our opponent would just tap out for a Tazri or something big like this, like the Tajuru Paragon, and then just lose. Yeah. So, yes, it was technically a thing we could have done, but... yeah. This is why we didn't. So, GG, opponent. GG. All right, folks, we're back. And looking at the deck, honestly, I played 2 games. We won 2 games. You will see both games. As it turns out, my editor is going to have it easy today because there's only a very little amount of editing that needs to happen. The games were long, though. So I'm not going to go ahead and do more games. We try and keep the videos in the 30-minute ballpark. As low as 20 minutes, as high as 40 minutes. They vary some, but the target number is 30, and we're actually going to be over that on just 2 games. The deck does tend to, or seem to want to win slowly there. That said, we played 2 games, we won 2 games. Neither game was actually very close. We felt like we were just brutalizing our opponents. In fairness, we may have been. That is one of the things about Brawl is it can have kind of a wild amount of variance there, where your opponent may be playing Brawl specifically to escape the higher competitive environments. So I really don't like beating up on people that are, yeah. So I feel a little bit bad about that, but the deck seemed to perform great. I highly recommend it. That said, this is 60 cards singleton. Ladies and gentlemen, the only cards we can have multiples of are Basic Mountain and Basic Island. All the rest are singleton because that's the way Brawl works. So definitely please let me know. I guarantee you we are not fully optimized here. I would like to see maybe even another instant or 2. I think that would make the deck better. What do we cut though? Well, certainly it's going to be a non-instant card. It can be one of our value engines, like the Umara Mystic. This is just a temporary gain. It's a 3-mana 1/3 flying a lot of the time. It gets bigger, sure, but, you know, so maybe that might be a place we could cut. Maybe it's just the Mischievous Chimera. A 2-mana 2/2 flying is actually pretty good. The fact that we are doing things on their turn is very, very good. Dealing extra damage, scrying, like all that, but like, is it enough if we don't have enough instants? I don't know. But let me know down in the comments below. We're going to be playing this deck tonight. It's Wednesday, darn it, and it's Brawl Day, and I'm excited to get back to Brawl. We're going to be blasting away at the Brawl queue, having as good a time as we dare, you know, and if you make suggestions down below, we very well may be able to implement those suggestions into the video. Chris, you will note, I have the maximum number of Bonecrushers already, but darn it, if I could add another one, I would. Trust me on this. That said, I do stream, ladies and gentlemen, on a little bit of a new schedule, but it's very, very easy schedule. 5 days a week, 6 p.m. Central Time. Please stop in and see us. Talk to me. Darn it. I want to get to know you guys. I did not have any anticipation how many friends I would be able to make when I started streaming. But I haven't made enough yet. I'd like you to be one of them. So come on out and see us. It would also really help if you like and subscribe and all that kind of junk. That is how YouTube knows to recommend the video. It would be a personal favor to me to do those things, right? It doesn't take any time or effort. It doesn't hurt. I promise. You just push the little button. Nothing changes in your life. But that little click does a huge service. So I really appreciate it. That said, ladies and gentlemen, I will catch you next time.